Ladies and gentlemen, it is a beautiful day for two reasons, because it's Nvidia earnings day, and of course, especially more importantly, I am here with my good friend JR Romero because I am enlisting him to help me make sense of Nvidia's earnings report, this whole sloppy mess known as Supermicro SMCI, which is falling apart, and we'll even touch on why you shouldn't take drugs in the form of stocks or the actual drugs themselves. So, JR, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Stay off of drugs, kids. Stay in school.
All right.
You heard it here first.
Should people stay in school? I know we've talked about this a little bit, but should they really stay in school?
I don't know, dude. I homeschool my kids. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's either forget plumbing school, yes, all other school, no. Get rid of it all. Tear it all down. Okay, so JR, big story today, obviously. 4 hours from now, we're going to have Nvidia's earnings. The stock's up like 150% year to date, number one in the SPX, number one in the Qs. And it does feel like 95% of the investing and trading world's attention is on Nvidia. It's like the last thing we have to talk about, especially with some of the other Mag 7 names going to crap. So what are you seeing with Nvidia into the report today?
I'm seeing indecision. We have the NYSE at 35% of the monthly average volume, and we've got the NASDAQ at, I think, 25% of the average monthly volume. So really not a particularly strong volume commitment. The market is basically waiting for two key events this week, as we all know, NVIDIA earnings and the PCE. You have a very weak advanced decline, weak breadth, a tick oscillating between negative 300 and positive 300, so kind of no man's land, and a very weak ATR on retracements. So, sellers still in control of this market, weak retracements, and deep, intense thrust to the downside on the sell side. So, weak market into NVIDIA earnings, and a positive earnings result could definitely affect market sentiment into Friday for sure.
Okay, so are you leaning one way or the other with Nvidia? Like, are you long or short into the report, or are you just gonna sit back and watch?
I'm gonna sit back and trade it when they report earnings. I have no conviction, long or short. I think they're gonna smash earnings. There's two or three things they have to say in the earnings call to keep the party going, and I'm going to be listening for that. So we'll see.
Okay, so what are you listening for on the earnings call?
Well, let's backtrack here for a second. Larry Page sat in front of his top generals at Google, and he said, I'm willing to bankrupt this company. We have one goal, and we have to win the LLM war. We have to win this war. We're in the process of creating a god. That's what Larry Page said publicly to his staff at Google. Okay, we are in a all-out war of attrition between tech companies to reach that goal, and they will stop at nothing to do so. So the demand for these chips, outside of banking, transportation, telecom, insurance, consumer, tech, finance, pharmaceuticals, outside of all those other, compounded growth industries. And by the way, the IDC came out with a report saying worldwide spending on artificial intelligence is forecast to reach $632 billion in 2028. Okay, that's a compounded growth rate of 30%, right? So beyond all of that, we're dealing with an arms race in the tech world to reach artificial general intelligence and what Larry Page, I think, called a godlike creature. So I think that's the underlying pressure that keeps on popping the champagne cork bottle the champagne bottle cork higher. So the street's looking for 28.7 billion in revenue. Okay, they must overcome that top line revenue substantially. Okay, and then they're looking for in terms of next quarter guidance, it's 31 billion. They have to absolutely smash that number. 32, 33 billion. I think sends Nvidia higher. They have to abate the Blackwell concerns. Okay, and they have to talk about two other things. The two other concerns are cloud and data center. So the more they talk about cloud and data center outside LLM, I think the better it will be received. And then the other big problem for Nvidia is they have in terms of their sales growth, a giant single point of failure, and it's that the other Mac 6 of the Mac 7 are their largest clients by a very strong majority. Okay, so any negative catalyst as far as a serious contender to the reign of their chips and their general digital ecosystem is going to be a serious problem.
Okay, so how do you feel about? Are you still, because you've been bullish pretty consistently in our discussions? Are you still positive long term on Nvidia?
Yeah, I think it's going to $200 in the next couple of quarters.
Okay. Do you think it's bad that the stock has ran up so much off the August 5th lows? Like, would it be better in terms of potential for a rally? Would it be better if it hadn't come this far so fast?
Not if you were long off 96, baby.
I am long off 96, so I agree. But for the people not as genius as you and I, for the plebeians out there, would it be better for them if the stock was lower?
No, I don't think so. If you look at the NVIDIA chart, it's basically a classic V bottom and platform. Should I share my screen?
Sure, why not?
Share screen.
And on the question of Google, interesting, everybody out there, you should notice that sometimes when you Google things, instead of just links to articles and things, there's an AI overview, and which is fairly significant change to how we navigate search. So, all right, JR, here's your lovely chart.
Yeah, so NVIDIA had sort of a climactic sell-off. We gap lower on the August 5th lows, and it's been basically a classic V bottom. These are, some of your biggest opportunities in the market when you have these kinds of massively overextended gap downs. And now you can see you have a V in a platform here. A lot of people would look at this as an inverse head and shoulders. I mean, whatever it is you want to look at it as, ultimately what this spells for me is a reaccumulative structure, right? You have this interim reaccumulative right side here since August 19th, and this is a consolidation where you're basically absorbing prior overhead supply from the June 21st high. So, this is how structurally the market tends to move, right? You have a very strong markup here, and then reaccumulative structure that consolidates, shakes out weak hands, and starts to absorb the overhead supply from the left side into that buying climax on the 20th of June. So I see this as a really positive, constructive chart, and as long as their earnings continue to impress, I expect NVIDIA to continue to impress. And by the way, in terms of 4P, we're trading at 32.70. I mean, this is not an expensive stock.
Yeah. Fun fact: Costco is actually much more expensive than Nvidia on a forward earnings basis. Okay, let's talk about the other hot topic within the AI space, which is Supermicro. So we've seen a lot of these tech stories historically, sort of this these low margin but very high growth names attached to a hot trend. I remember Amber. I think I'm not going to name names. I don't want to badmouth any particular companies right now, especially because I can't remember. But the stocks come. There's always been sort of rumors circling around SMCI that CEO's history might be a little shady. Hindenburg came out with the report. Now they're delaying the 10K. Is SMCI sort of a no-touch situation?
Look, having dealt with them personally and having had to settle with them out of court for a very large, disastrous transaction I've had with them, I consider them the Bernie Madoff of tech. They are, in my opinion, a very sleazy company. The fact that nobody would sign off on their audited results and they had to buy time is not a sign of good things to come.
Okay, yeah. So our friend Jeff in the chat is saying, "JR, tell us what you really think about SMCI." I think people will remember. I do agree. It's absolutely smells funky, and this does feel like it's sort of the beginning of the story and not the end.
So, fun fact: I hate this company so much; they're on my do not trade list. And today, once they started selling off, just I don't recommend doing this. But I just piled on with the shorts just for pure personal satisfaction. Smashed it for a few good 7-8 points. So, yeah, very dangerous company to hold long term, in my opinion. They're not
okay. All right.
people.
Okay, so let's sort of talk about the state of Mag 7. Do you feel like Mag 7 is kind of over?
No.
No?
No. They're the Mag 7 for a reason. Look at Apple. Remember you on the first interview we ever did, you asked me if Apple was a sell here, and I said, Apple, you just buy every dip, okay? It's like there's a holy Pentecostal church of Apple that I belong to. When it dips to a support level, I just buy it and forget about it. It's a money-making machine.
I agree. I will never sell. Never selling my Apple stock ever.
I've owned Microsoft for over 10 years, and it just keeps going higher. Meta has a bright future ahead of it. Netflix, they bought every dip, Netflix, I'm less enthused about, but Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, they're money-making machines.
Okay, all right. So we are getting our insights way faster than I thought. So we might be done in another 2 or 3 minutes. So we're going to switch topics.
All right. Am I being a little overly stoic? I can
it's
extrapolate
good.
more.
I have lunch waiting for me, so I'm in a big hurry.
Okay.
But
what are you eating for lunch?
I'm having chicken and vegetables today. It's very, very exciting, including broccoli and asparagus. So I'm going to be in a
Are you prepping for a bodybuilding competition? I'm seeing gains, Michael.
I absolutely am prepping for a bodybuilding competition. I'm meeting with my steroid dealer later this afternoon, and we're going to put together a program for me because I really want to beef up. Okay, so JR and I were having a little discussion about MSOS, the U.S. cannabis ETF, because there's sort of this Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote situation where everybody gets jazzed up because the government's going to do something positive and move cannabis from schedule whatever to whatever, and MSOS just gets destroyed every so often. It's down something like 40%, 50% from the highs. So, JR, do you ever play with these sort of cultish ETFs?
I'm a child of the 80s, the 1880s, of course. And I remember those "This is your brain on drugs" poster that was supposed to scare you away from doing drugs. Now, when I need to scare my children away from doing drugs, I just pull up the MSOS chart and I show them, I say, this is what happens when you mess with cannabis. And they just nod their heads and got it, Dad. So MSOS has been a great service to my family personally, as it's permanently scared my children away from a life of drugs. So I'm very grateful to MSOS for that. Other than that, it's pure garbage.
Are you worried? But when I remember when gold sort of had this status, when everybody was sort of poking fun at gold. Are you worried that gold will lead your children into a life of gold and becoming gold bugs? Are you worried about that at all?
They're already gold bugs. We look at charts together every day. My kids are total trading junkies, so yeah, no, gold bug is fine as long as you can't smoke it or inject it. I'm all for it.
All right. Okay, guys. All right. So we had a lot of fun today, packed into 15 minutes. We learned all about Nvidia. JR was very, very mean to SMCI, but I think it's justified. And we learned about why you shouldn't. So what is the rule? If we can inject it or smoke it, we don't invest in it?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I think
unless it's Eli Lilly, in which case there's an exception. I don't know if you've been watching that chart. Man, a lot of traders in our room are killing it with Eli Lilly. What an incredible move.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in NVO myself, just because I think Ozempic is the name brand, and I think interesting for anybody investing in this space is just Google Ozempic face, and I noticed a very strange trend now. Whenever a celebrity loses weight, people start commenting like Ozempic in the comments, no matter who it is.
Oh, really? That's fascinating. Yeah. They just I tell my team here in the chat, you know, these guys just have to come up with a cure for male baldness, and I'm backing up the truck. That's it. I'm putting all my money in.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like baldness isn't as big an issue anymore. I think Vin Diesel sort of and Bruce Willis sort of solved that problem for us.
Everyone's gone full Joe Rogan, maybe.
I remember in the 80s when people used to make bald jokes. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. I mean, I've met plenty of men that are very, very self-conscious about their hair, about their hairline or whatever, or going bald, but I don't know. I mean, you feel how you feel, but it seems like not a big deal anymore.
Fair enough.
Okay, guys, if you want to learn how JR destroys stocks like Nvidia and SMCI and Eli Lilly, I command you to visit t3live.com/JRlive. If you click this link and buy, I guarantee you will be entertained. I can't legally guarantee you will make money, but you will learn a ton and you will laugh as JR takes you through today's Nvidia's earnings report, the demise of SMCI, and a whole lot more. Again, t3live.com/JRlive. The link is down in the description. JR, this is by far the best event we have ever done. So I will see you next week. And everybody out there, have a perfect day. Not a good day, a perfect day.
Have a great one, Michael. Take care.